Good morning, my neighbors. How are you doing? Hello.
We're ready.
Hello, everybody.
Hope you're feeling fine.
You're not the people that went to Jelly or see me.
Is that Jelly?
Jelly or see me?
I went to proper.
Let's not go there.
A couple of proper primary schools.
All right. Hi, guys.
You are welcome. Now we can use our hands.
We can use our hands. Okay?
You know.
See us forming posh.
You know. Mm-hmm.
Make neck not just break. It's gonna
It's
take a while to get
strange,
used to this. So for those of you that are listening to us on Spotify, and so we did some changes to our living room studio. Yeah. So now we are holding the mics without holding the mic.
Good.
Jonathan Ibanle Abiriva.
What a way to spin something.
Yeah. All right.
Welcome. Let's get
Welcome,
right
guys.
into
Welcome
it.
to another. I think we've said saying scintillating. Please, it's just a joke. I was listening to the podcast and like someone would just say, well, who are these bush people, and just turn off. But hey, welcome to another edition of Redefinitions.
Yep.
My name remains Akoride Muritala Mobaragobi, Osorio Tabacho Tribune Bank. Well, I don't know. She must have had a bottle of Coke or something.
I won't even come here. I'm so hungry.
All right. Yeah, I'm with my wife.
Lola Day. Olola Day.
There's Gelini.
Aishat. Gigi.
Zachariah.
Gigi.
So we're really excited to be in your excited to be with you this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're listening to us. That's how you feel it. Yeah, that's how you feel it counts. Everybody counts anyways, but I mean how you feel it counts. Okay. Ladi, so what have we been talking about this season?
Relationships.
We've been having some very, very lovely conversations on relationships. Some really, really life-changing conversations on relationships. I remember we spoke about family.
Yeah.
And some people are closer to their siblings now. I mean, if he sent me something yesterday and I was just like, oh, you know, some people are closer
the one with the father talking about his boys.
the father talking about his boys. And I grew up with my my immediate elder brothers. I have 3 elder brothers. The 2 guys in the middle before my eldest. There's a year difference in their age, and you've never seen rivalry at that point. You've never seen it. Like the rivalry was insane. How, so this week I think I was going to work or I was driving. I just remembered them, how they used to play lawn tennis.
Yeah.
And you could tell if they played 7 times, they were going to fight physically.
Oh, physically.
Yeah. They were going to fight physically at the end 4 times.
Why did they keep up with it?
But they kept playing. That was the question I was asking myself this week. Like, I'm going to ask them next time I call Dunga, I'll say, Dunga Alpha, why not they always play that time? They kept playing and they would always fight. There was a time they wouldn't talk. They'll be in the same house and they won't talk to each other for months.
Months.
In the same room.
Wow.
For months. I think there was a time Mom just called them and started crying. I guess they outgrew it.
Yeah.
I think it became embarrassing. So they had mutual friends. So you have mutual friends, but you guys are not talking to each other. And they outgrew it. And then, I mean, well, of course, there's still always tension. You put both of them in the room. It's that they are loving up on each other. And that's the thing. What they do or what they've done for each other is like way more than any other pair in amongst us, because we were 5 boys. But the rivalry is also like just like there. And so we spoke about relationships.
Yeah.
In terms of
what we are speaking of.
In terms of our family, and I thought that was really, really dope episode. Then
we talked about friendship. think we split that into two.
Yes.
Two parts. So we talked about friendship, and that was also very good.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm. I won't speak faith, right? But I really trust that a lot of friendships have been healed, and that more importantly for me, I trust that people are more intentional about who they are making their friends, and then even those friendships are even way more intentional about those friendships again.
And the earlier you start, the better. I think one of the main things we said was you choose your friends.
Yeah, like, it's not a random. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't.
Yeah, you meet acquaintances randomly, but you have to do the work of choosing those you make your friend.
Yeah,
and then once you've chosen.
And you choose by values. I think that's something that has been a recurring thought or conversation all through as we've talked about relationships.
Yeah. Because from the first episode, we actually spoke about relationships being value based, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So you choose your friends, you then stay committed to them, and all. So that's where we've gone to in this series. Today we want to talk about another spectrum of relationship, and that's followership / leadership.
Yeah.
Right. So we spoke family, we spoke friends, and now we're speaking followership. In terms of leadership, like, so the when we started, I had mentioned that there are two ways we need to view relationships. So you need to view relationships horizontally.
Yeah.
That is pair to pair, husband to wife, friend to friend, sibling to siblings within the family and all that. So like on the same level generally. And then we spoke about vertical relationships, which is then the one that has order of some sort, where someone is in front, someone is behind, and you also find, even in the context of marriage, as the Bible would have it, that there is that line, which is that's what the whole conversation around submission
right.
And all that. So at one end, it says submit to one another, which is
horizontal.
We're both children of God.
Yeah.
We're both humans. We're both adults. We both have rights. We both have responsibilities. So, I mean, respect and all that at that level. But then there's also that vertical dynamic to it, where someone is in lead, someone is following. And it's the reality of life. I think that's where to start from. You are always going to be behind someone, and you're always going to be in front of someone.
Yeah.
It's the reality of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the narcissist, the incredibly, insanely proud that does not see anyone in front of him.
Yeah.
Like, you, even amongst your friends, you have to be able to see that some people are better than you at something.
Something, right.
And you are in that position to learn from them, or to follow them in that regard. But also, life is such that there are people behind you, even when you don't know, right? Or you grow to the point where there are people behind you. But honestly, there's always someone behind you.
So there's this just random. There's this, I don't know if it's a joke, it's a saying or a thing, right? Where they say if you call a lot of people, maybe let's say 100 people, and you tell them you get a bucket or a bowl or something, and you tell them to write their problems and put it inside, and then they have the opportunity to pick another person's problems.
Yeah.
That each of those 100 people will pick their own problems. Because you really think that your situation is the worst.
Yeah.
And you think your case is very bad, or you just think that you are but somebody's behind you.
There's someone behind you. There's someone behind the person that is behind you. There's someone behind the person that is behind the person that is behind the person that is behind you. And and I think that's the way life is framed, right? So I saw a clip now. My kids are into nature, animals, and all that, right? And so it kind of makes me also extra interested in this. I saw a clip. 2 male lions, fully grown male lions, are lying on the road, just lying there. And 2 rhinos were walking majestically. So the lions are lying down, just facing forward. And the rhinos are just coming behind them. And next thing, the lions just raised, they saw the rhinos, they just packed themselves, jelly, and just left. So even lions, say, just like, yes, he's the king of the jungle, but there are contexts where the lions are okay, right? Like it's rare to see videos of lions hunting elephants.
Yeah.
Right. It's mutual respect now. There are even some animals that lions don't hunt individually.
Yeah.
Shout out to Craft. What was that thing that the kids used to watch? Wildcraft. Right. Crafts. Oh, okay.
Just in case you have kids.
Yeah.
Like growing kids. That's a good show.
So what we're saying is you would always be in front of someone and you will always be behind someone.
Yeah.
And what's that dynamic like, especially when at the job, in our homes, and in our religious church setting? So it's majorly, or like 4 places, right? Vocationally, you're going to have people in front of you and behind you. Right? Even if you are the MD. So I mean, I run my company, right? When I'm in front of my client, I'm behind. I'm not in front. They tell me what they want. I don't just tell them what I want, right?
And even in that sense, you have people ahead of you. Like you have Pastor T.
Yes.
When you're with him,
I have other mentors in the same industry that you get.
They're ahead of you. They're way ahead of
me, right? And I have people behind me. I have people that look up to me. People that, I mean, if I'm in their presence, like, oh my God, a great man is in our presence. But they need to see that the great man
also another great man.
If he gets to some places, we just put the hand behind his back and just wait, right?
Yeah.
So vocationally, how do we deal with that? In the family, for example, again, it's lost on us because in the family setting, because I mean, as a Yoruba boy, growing up, and I don't know if it's everywhere, but majorly, our parents made sure that you knew who was older, and it came with responsibilities as much as it came with privileges also, right? You can do something and you will be scolded, and your elder brother will be double scolded because he was around and he was watching you, you get. But at the same time, he gets to pick the meat before you know, and all that. So in the family, our parents to us, as an example, our elder siblings, our younger siblings, what's that dynamic like? In the nation, right? I mean, you have government.
Yeah.
We follow the government's legislations. We follow the government's lead. What is that like? And then, very importantly and most importantly, in this journey of faith that we have, and in our churches, in our cell groups, in our ministries, what's that dynamic like? And I know that a lot of the time that's where we trip, right? Because sometimes we're trying to take what is secular into that religious setting, and sometimes we're just throwing away every common sense, even within the religious setting, because it's the religious setting, you know, and some of us have been offended by that, right? You're like, why is everybody calling a 34-year-old papa? You know? You have a problem,
especially in fellowships, school fellowship.
So I think we should. I realize that. Yeah. Okay, let me just throw this and we'll go back, because again, so I don't drop the gun, right? And most of the people that talk about in school fellowships, they call papa. In school. When you get to their own setting, they don't call them papa, but how they revere them is because it's just natural with us. Anyways, but let's leave that. So basically, that's the landscape of where we have leaders and we have followers. And the first point we're making is you are both a leader and a follower. Yeah. You can't be an effective follower if you are not a leader in yourself. And you can't be an effective leader if you are not a follower. Okay. Right? You are both, all of us were created to lead and to follow, or to follow and to lead. The challenge oftentimes is that sometimes we just want to do only one. We're comfortable with just following. Yeah. Like we like to legislate and just. I don't have sense.
Tell me what to do.
Oh, I don't have sense. And we see a lot of that in religious settings, right? Where in order to prove loyalty and in order to prove obedience, you suspend
your brain,
your spirit, your brain, the word, everything, because you're afraid, right? So there has to be, we all have to be leaders and followers. What makes us effective leaders is that we have been effective followers. And what makes us effective followers is that we have that sense of personal leadership on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's the first. So the first point is that you must have someone following you and you must have someone leading you. And it's not to go and find someone and say, me too, now follow me. No, it's that you would realize, it's a realization you come to. You don't coerce people to follow you, right? You just build your value to the point where naturally you would have people following you. For example, you can have people following you just the way you dress. The way you comport yourself. Your integrity can have people following you. Your joy can have people following you. I mean, your prayer life can have people following you. You know, your boldness can have people following you. Like, it's so natural that it's not something you try to cook up. And so once you see that you're making extra effects, you know, you're beginning to do
things so that people
can follow you. You're already going out of pocket. You're already going out of pocket if you're doing things, and that's the challenge with the social media point, where people are cultivating followers. The idea of cultivating followers in itself is fundamentally dangerous. Because you then start to do things that you're not comfortable doing. You then start to break all boundaries and all edges because you're looking for followers. Like, you start to do pranks, for example. Like dangerous pranks. You know how many people die every year of challenges on TikTok because we're looking for followers? Yeah, people literally die.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. People die. Yes, now on TikTok. People die because you're looking for followership. Right? Is that the person looking for followership dies, or the people that are trying to follow the trend dies? Whereas we're supposed to organically grow value. Once you organically grow value, the Bible says, forgive me, but don't forgive me, right? Says, where the carcass is, the eagles will gather, right?
So don't be so concerned. Don't work so hard for the eagles to gather. You're not going to go and look for what to do so that eagles will gather. You just be concerned about the carcass. Sorry for being that literal, but I get what you're saying.
It's like build value. Just build your value in your life. Build value. Build value, right? Sometimes people are following you from afar and you don't know. There are decisions you're making that are, we're just talking before we started, and you're talking about a decision you made around work and the kids and all that. Now you're having someone ask you the same question. Like, you're saying, while you were making that decision, you never thought that anyone was going to benefit from it.
Blessed by
I remember when I said start my business, and I was talking to a senior friend. Not to put that you're a senior, but you people pretend as if you are mates, right? So a senior friend, and he asked me, like, "You're really going to leave and go do that?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he looked at me and said, Whereas he's been cooking something that he just needed that extra push. And he just looked at me and said, if Korede can do this, probably I'm even in a better position to do. Why am I afraid? And then he's going to do it. And he did it very, very well. You get, even myself also, right? That's how life is designed, that you are supposed to have self-leadership. And then you will have people on the outside that follow you for your self-leadership. And then you also will find people with same value system that you follow. So the challenge is the same way friendships can be accidental, right? You went to a place, the guy has a lot of jokes, you guys became friends, right? Or someone just moved into your neighborhood, you're playing football together, you're seeing each other often, you became friends, right? The same way that is accidental, it's also the same way a lot of leadership dynamics is accidental. you got posted to that school.
Yeah.
And voila, the person is a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got born again.
Yeah.
And when you got born again, of course, you don't know where to go, right? And someone takes you and say, this is the church we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And the way people do it, as though 98% of the people in churches didn't hear God to go to those churches.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the natural order of life that I got born again. A Redeemed church is near my house.
Yeah,
I know I need to read my Bible. I go there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was talking to someone. Even the emphasis we think we have, like I'm word of faith, right? Most of those decisions were made for you before you got there. You had a brother. They didn't. When you claim so much to be word of faith and this and that, it wasn't like someone sat you down and presented all the streams in the body
and
to
asked you to pick which one.
And then said, which one do you think is best? No, that wasn't the way it happened. You had a brother who had a brother who had you are like, it's passed down. The same way you didn't choose your natural family. It's also many times you won't choose your trust family. And people actually get into trouble many times when they try to do that, because a lot of times people do it on the externals rather than the internals, right?
Oh, it's a fine church.
It's a fine church, or there's power there. Yeah. Without self-leadership, you won't even know the right choices to make. But if you have self-leadership where you're like, okay, I am meeting with Jesus, and this is the emphasis Jesus is pulling in my life. And every time I read my Bible, this thing just jumps out at me. And then I'm tuning my TV, and then the message. I remember the first time I listened to Baba DV.
Yeah.
Right? And who's been a huge blessing. I've never met him. Like, I can't wait to meet Baba. Like,
that's Pastor Chris Delvan.
Yeah.
Chris Delvan.
Yeah. And how did it happen? And funny enough, they were like the two most important people in my life at a point. All of us had such dramatic introduction to his ministry. Yeah. I woke up in the morning, preparing to go to church, dressing up. It's like, you don't want to be late. And then the TV is on. And then I just heard the man's voice. And I stood there. I stood at one point from the beginning of his message to the end. And it wasn't even his program. It was it was like a guest on the program. Like, okay. I didn't even get his name. Like, oh, that's cool. That's really, oh man, that was a blessing. The next week, I'm dressing up again. Same thing. I got stuck again. Listening again. So in my mind, I was like, somehow I didn't, like, I don't know if I remembered his name, but it was just so resounding in my heart, right? And then a week later, my brother comes from school. And I was like, man, there is this man I heard. There's this tape that I heard. Cordy, you need to hear the tape. Oh my God, that tape. He just played the tape. I said, that's the one. So you see that, but without me growing in my own personal walk with God, I could never have gotten to a point where God can introduce such a ministry into my life. Like that, every ministry that flows into my life, I know what it is there to do, at least at the beginning. Now, it might do more than that, but again, because I have taken personal responsibility for my life.
So I was going to say that I would like you to speak a bit more on self-leadership.
Yeah.
And you've started to say it's taking personal responsibility for your life, but I would like to...
Yeah, so you can't be an effective follower without self-leadership.
Yeah.
Now, you're following people. Remember, you're an individual, right? He knows you in particular. He designed you in particular, right? That's why he's so particular about your life. Like, God knows you in person.
Yeah.
Now, yes, God knows us by generation, and he knows us by country, and he knows us by families, and he knows us by churches, and he knows us by tribes. Absolutely. But even deeper than that is that he knows us personally. Says, whilst you were in your mother's womb. Now, even if you're twins, right? That's still like one of the most private places you would ever be, right? Yeah. And he speaks into your heart personally. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So those two things. Yeah. He created you almost as an individual. If you're a twin, except you're Siamese. And now, he also gave us the brain and the power and the wisdom to separate them as much as we can, right? So God knows us that much. So, and if you look at in all these areas, right? Let's take vocation for example. Nobody would be useful to you if you are not on a personal journey somewhere.
Right. Okay.
And that's the challenge. People expect that mentors will tell them what to do. Like your mentor would unravel your life in front of you. No. Now you might be seeing darkly and cloudly. I don't know if there's a word like that,
Cloudy.
right?
Cloudy.
Cloudy.
It can be cloudy.
Yeah, it can be cloudy. But there must be an intention to go somewhere.
Right.
Right? There must be an intention to go somewhere. There must be a desire to go somewhere. There must be a commitment to go somewhere. One of the hardest things you want to do is to force someone to do something that they don't want to do. It's almost impossible.
True.
The only way to get someone to do something that they don't want to is to lure them into it.
Yeah. But
Right.
that's not good.
Sometimes you might have to do that, right? Like you put the sweet in front of your child, he opens his mouth and you put the food in him.
There's that.
You get. But a lot of the times, it's that as we grow and as we live, there is that personal responsibility towards a destination, towards a vision, towards a purpose that you have to have.
I think this is a very, very important point
Yeah.
for this episode.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that I feel like we should. I wish we could have a text or something
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah,
video.
there's no followership without personal leadership and personal responsibility. Even on the job. And that's why many times people complain that, I stayed so long in a place and this person used me. Nobody uses you. You didn't use yourself.
You didn't use yourself, yeah. You weren't going anywhere.
You didn't use yourself, right? You then negotiate based on where you're going.
Yeah.
You negotiate based on where you're going. You can stay in a place for 10 years based on where you're going.
Yeah, very true.
You have to be able to say, these are my values, these are things that are important to me. If this is what is it. And sometimes we don't even give people enough room to say, I don't want to be CEO.
Yeah.
It's not a must. I like this because
the conversation I was having yesterday, she mentioned that she doesn't think she's overly ambitious.
Yeah.
And she doesn't think it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad
because
thing.
people are different. And I felt that.
No, because another thing is that many times with the ambition is too one dimensional.
Yeah. Because if you ask her some certain things, you'll realize that she's ambitious in maybe just in a different line.
So what sometimes the levers that pull life, to be honest, only few people, very, very few people can pull everything at 100%.
Right.
Very, very, very few people can pull everything at 100%. So what we then get to do is career, family, spirituality, economics, and all that. It's difficult to find people. It's very difficult.
That are pulling everything
most likely do
maximally.
not have that pull everything maximally. It's very, very difficult. It's very. There has to be a sense of something. Opportunities forgone. You have to give something. You have to give something.
Something has to give.
Something gives. Something will
give.
I'll give an example. I know a man of God that is really, really big and his children are doing very well in ministry. And people like, he's prospering in ministry, he's prospering financially, and his children are doing well. What people don't know is that man's children wasn't raised by the man. The man created a system knowing that I'm not going to be around a lot of the time. I trust this guy. So I'm going to give my boys to him.
To raise for me.
Of course, I will come and do the impact. Same. I know this guy. I've poured into him, and that's the system. Now that number 2 man, you might say, he's not pulling as much. If he had gone on his own, he would have been more, as big as this. No, the man says, "What do you mean?"
Okay.
let's say the name of our ministry is
Wow.
God Do It.
Yeah.
Now, God Do It needs to exist for 30 years. Someone is going to do the breaking of the barriers today. But someone else needs to ensure that there's posterity for that calling. So I would be at home raising the children. That would be the next leg to that calling. Then you can go and bring the harvest in for today. Like the things are so dynamic in nature. Life is so dynamic that, and that's the mistake most people make, and that's why many people get frustrated, because you chase the career, but you don't chase relationships.
Yeah.
You chase career, you don't chase the family. Like, I'm not capping. You meet women in their 50s and in their 60s, and many of them would tell you that
they wish
I wish I did more in my career than I did. And then the other half will tell you, I wish I did more in my family than I did. Because it's not easy to pull all sides at 100%.
So I was saying.
So families become dynamic, for example. So you say, okay, daddy, you do this. And that's the whole idea of partnership.
Yeah.
Right?
So that together we can then maximize our strengths,
all the areas of our lives. And that's what please don't forget your thought. That's what the devil has come to tempt. Right? So the devil, or the enemy, and liberal philosophies and ideology will say, why can't a woman work? Of course, a woman can work. But if you and I say, what are the things that are important to us?
That's where I was going.
As a man, if you're a man, I'm a man. I know that one of the tragedies I would not experience in my life is how my children turning out bad.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a pillar for me. Right? It's a pillar for me. So in choosing who to be with and who to do life with, fortunately for me, I have someone who sees it that way. So we can make tough decisions. It's tough for someone to be a first-class graduate, right? Be like that quality to say, I want to spend the first few years of my life pulling into the family.
Yeah.
Right? And then, okay, so you do more, and then let me do this. Now, I'll be foolish to think that I won't carry the job on my head as though it's the beginning and the end of it. And I won't come home feeling like my wife is useless, not doing the work. Because raising the kids is important to me. It's a KPI I have set for myself. Right? You're going to say something?
Yes, it's the same thing I was going to say. So just the way the devil, you were saying that the devil, that's where he tempts us.
Yeah.
I feel like that's also, God has a lot that he does for us in that regard.
Yeah.
In our relationships, in this, in putting those dreams and desires in our hearts, and helping us and teaching us ways of how we can maximize, both of us, how we can stretch and maximize. So I realized that the best thing to do as a believer, or as a child of God, again, I'm talking to different kinds of people, as a child of God, the best thing to do is to ask the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So he can lead you in this season. Where should you be pulling?
Yeah.
Where should your strength be? You understand? And in the next season, what should you be pulling?
Absolutely.
So that you realize that at the end of your life, you used your life well.
Yeah. And you must be multidimensional. You must insist on being great at all those levels.
Yeah.
And once you have, and we're talking about self-leadership, right? It's that I know, right, I want to have a great marriage.
Yeah.
That's where followership starts. So because I want to have a great marriage, I'm going to find people that can help me, teach me godly examples, right? I want to grow a solid business.
Yeah.
So I'll read books.
Yeah.
I'll find mentors that can help me do that, right? I want to be a politician. I believe I'm called to lead in the public space. I have to, but people.
So it begins from personal drive. You have to have personal drive.
Yes.
Right.
So I want to be I want to grow in my faith.
Yeah.
I want to grow in my faith. Then that's how I can utilize the leaderships that I have. Right. So pastors suffer a lot. Then, right. We tend to have three types of people following. People who are not really following.
Yeah.
Because to follow means that you have a commitment to him, to Christ personally.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one. So people don't have personal commitment to Christ. So after a while, the church becomes a social gathering. It's vibes and inshallah.
Yeah.
In the house of God. I'm telling you, the church becomes that place that, and some people want to follow from a distance. Like, I don't want to do too much, but for conscience sake, let me just
be here.
Let me be here, right? And some other people, they don't have personal leadership. They just want to swallow everything the pastor says.
Like a read anyway.
Like just, and they are always very religious and very emotional.
All the humors.
I know nothing.
I'm telling you.
I just paste. I just copy and paste. Like that's also not good.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's also not good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's not because your pastor might be wrong. No, that's not even it. Of course, your pastor might be wrong. I might be wrong. But that's not even it. It's that the place of personal responsibility is the foundation for good followership. Beautiful. Right.
We should.
The reason we are bad followers in Nigeria is that we
don't. True.
We don't really care.
Yeah.
The election cycle has gone now.
Yeah, everybody has faced their lives.
Aisha Yusufu is just being extra. Like, madam, we've lost too. We can't have lost. Let's go. The next 4 years we'll come back
again. Ginger
because in the public space, we don't own Nigeria.
Yeah.
Americans own the idea of America.
Yeah.
In fact, they are fighting for what that idea really is. And it's at that level they are fighting. So, I mean, and from time to time, you have a woman can start a movement in America. A woman say, okay, you should call it maybe the Tea Party. And what she would be doing, she should be organizing women, wives, families to just gather around and discuss around the country. Then they will just, okay. After that discussion, say, this counselor, let's get someone as a counselor. Like, Aisha, you'll be good as our counselor. We like the things you say here. And then they'll be mobilized. And then all of a sudden, they've produced a counselor. Then they start morphing. Then after a while, they have national significance. Because they own they try to define the idea called America.
This one, there's no idea called.
There's no idea called. Like, we're not bought into.
We're not
bought into the idea called Nigeria, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, we've not have leaders that have said, this is what we can be. This is what we should. You know, we're strange bedfellows and all that. Of course, in God's divine plan, right? Yeah. And so it's difficult. The reason, we are angry today. Tomorrow, you've jackpot. A good percentage of people that went out for NSAS are no longer in Nigeria.
A good percentage,
because we don't. Correct. It's still, there's no idea that we are we are holding on to and it's costing us to. We are taking responsibility for, right? So we've relegated that, and then every 4 years we come back. So, and that's it. It's in all spaces of life. If there's no personal responsibility, personal leadership, we can't be effective followers. So a child of God must be personally connected to Christ. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Personally following. And that's how he becomes a good member and a good follower of his pastor. Because they are supposed to be reading from the same script. Right? And I mean, we can't call the scenario where people don't even want to do that, where they just come and says, I don't know anything. It's whatever it is you tell me. It sounds noble on the outside, but it's actually disastrous. Yeah. You know, Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ.
As I follow, yeah.
So there's a presumption that you can tell when Paul stops following Christ. I said, Oga, this is not... I mean, and Paul did it. So it's the whole idea, right? Paul looks to Peter and says, no, but you're not. Yeah. You're not. Like, you are not doing this now. I thought this is the... You get... So, and that's the way it is. I was listening to... If I get into a maths class, for example, because I've committed to a maths class, and then my lecturer starts talking politics, if I don't know that it's a maths class, now that I know that it's a maths class does not mean I know everything it's going to teach me.
Yeah.
Right. But I know, at least I know that it's a maths class. Do you understand? Like, I know. Right. And that's why some footballers get upset. Like, why are we just passing the ball? They say, you get, like, we're supposed to be scoring goals. You're just telling us, are we here to win 100 meters or we're here to score goals? You get, so until that is clear to us before we can effectively follow the leaders that are in our lives.
Beautiful.
Okay. So that's the first. Is this first or second?
First, we've already done 40 minutes.
That's the first thing. So
that's a good overview.
Yeah. So I will encourage you in your career, in your work with God, in the national discourse, in your family. There has to be ownership, right? You have to own that context in terms of where you want to go, what you believe it's going to bring, and then the followership is the commitment you have to that position. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, so how do we effectively follow?
Yeah.
Right. How do we effectively follow our leaders, and how do we effectively? And I think is that to even say it after that one, honestly. So wait, let me consult my journal, because I've said almost everything I want to say. Okay, all right. So the principal things leaders give us is something called wisdom.
Okay.
So that's the principal things leaders give us. They give us wisdom.
Okay.
They give us actionable knowledge.
Okay.
Based on experience.
Okay.
So the leaders give us actionable knowledge based on experience, because we can get knowledge, right? Many times, it's not really because we don't have access to knowledge. It's that many times we oftentimes have knowledge that we can't action.
Okay.
Right? Or we have knowledge that we can action, but we don't know if it's tested or not. So there's always that thing where you're not sure.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So a leader is there to give you actionable knowledge that is based on experience.
Okay. I have an example.
Yeah.
So for like when you wanted to start, maybe not start, you had already started Old Lagos, right? Yeah. But then you wanted to make a decision as to funding.
Yeah.
And then you went and spoke with Pastor T.
Yeah.
And then they told you something. They told you not to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Based on their own experience, you know.
So I'm running a service-based business, right? So I have mentors who are like, I don't. They're just everything. They're parents, they're mentors, they're leaders, and all that. That I run things through. And I went to them and said, "See, I need cash injection into this business." And they looked at me and said, "No, we're not going to get cash injection. You're going to sweat it." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, we need to." He said, "No, you're going to sweat it." He said, "Because the model you're running, you can quickly make the money that you think you need without the money."
Yeah.
Right? And once you and my position was to offer equity for that money. To say, okay, let's someone give me 100 million, 200 million, I give them equity in the business. I'm like, no, you can't do that, because
you will soon make that 100 million.
You might soon make that 100 million, 200 million, right? And then you've given a real lifetime of equity.
Yeah.
So they then give me
their own experience.
How when they started their business, they pulled investors together. And 3 months into the business, they realized that they had done enough business that they couldn't even use the money that the investors gave them.
Wow.
Which meant that for the rest of the business, those investors will always chop money. So they told me that. Now, I had knowledge.
Yeah.
I knew what I needed to do. I knew what the business needed. But my knowledge had not been proven. My knowledge did not have action to it, right? Because I didn't have the experience at that level.
Yeah.
Now, at another level, I have the experience, right? At another level, I can tell people what to do before they start a business.
Yeah.
As a guy, don't be like me.
Yeah.
I did this, I did that. But I think that, there was a time a couple of my friends called me and said, okay, see, we're thinking about starting our agency. Like they called me to launch, proper launch. I said, okay, just come and 3 partners, just come and talk to us around your experience. Now, I'm not more knowledgeable than those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You might have gone to business school and all of those things.
They probably have more head knowledge than I do.
Yeah.
But I've done it before and I failed.
Exactly.
And sometimes what I would tell them might many times actually just validate what they already know and gives them more confidence to go at it.
Exactly.
And at other times might show them the blind spots that they don't know and then give them a caution.
Yeah.
So leaders are either pushing us or giving us a sense of caution.
Yeah.
So is that a sense of security or a sense of caution?
Yeah.
Security, caution, security. And that's what you need leaders for. Once you take in personal leadership and personal responsibility, now because you know that you don't have wisdom, what you don't have is wisdom. Anybody can get knowledge. When in knowledge-driven world, you won't start anything. There's enough for you to learn, right? There's enough for you to read. But what's the difference? The difference is the peculiarity of those contexts are very, very different. And so you have people that have gone through those parts before can tell you this thing you're doing. So I'll give you an example. Moses is there judging the whole of Israel, and God didn't say anything to him. And then there was a priest of Midian who was his father-in-law, who had been a priest, who had been a leader. Who understand? The guy can say, you will kill yourself if you continue like this. Why not do this, do that? That's based on experience. Right? Now,
Moses was definitely more knowledgeable.
Than this man. Definitely more. Like God was speaking to him face.
Exactly.
If there's any one of you I speak to, maybe perhaps by dreams, but this one I had to follow a yarn, man to man. But the guy still needed someone who had experience. Now, this is a juxtaposition, right? Without personal leadership, some people would throw you off based on their experience.
Very correct. Very, very. You know, like you said, that those guys now, what you said might be a validation for what they have to do. Or it might be a caution. They are the ones that will have to determine that based on personal leadership. In
church, for example, you want the pastor to prophesy every step of your life. You are in huge danger. Because you have the word of God. And this thing where say, you have the word of God. Nobody should speak down on your ability to hear God personally. Like we can balance 2 things at different levels, right? Nobody, I don't care the point we're making. We can't even start, and that's what some leaders do, where I don't know if it's, I really don't know why, but and I guess probably I've also done it, and something like I'm really, really careful about now. My friend used to say, we must give people agency. We must give. One of the things we are to do as leaders is to help people build the confidence in their work with God.
Exactly.
Like it's to help you people build, no matter how small it is. It's the first thing we owe people is to show them how God is at work in their life. Not just what we are adding to it. Because what we are adding to it is going to sit on the foundation of that personal work that they have. If people don't have personal works and they've not made that heartfelt commitment to working with the Lord, right, we would just be building them in religion. That's actually the definition of religion, where we have systems that does not have a personal connections with Him.
With Christ, right.
And that system will offer validation. That system will tell you you're doing well. You're not doing well. Do you know, I tell people almost every time I feel like I'm not doing well, when I see Jesus, most times He says, you're actually doing better than you can. And most times when I feel like I'm
blazing,
I'm breaking the charts, just gonna say, see yourself. You get, but it's that balancing act, right, where we must ensure that people, we help people see that validity in that their personal engagements and encounters with the Lord. Where we don't, our job is to help them see it. That's what Paul would, in writing his letters, many times say, no, you not, no, you not, no, you not. I find that phrase very, very interesting. Like, don't you know? It's actually you. Don't you know? It's.
So I have just an analogy that came to mind. You know how in the Old Testament, it was the priest that could. It was only the priest. He would consecrate himself, and he was the only one that could enter.
Yeah.
So it's as though we're still in that. A lot of us still operate in that frame where it's one person or it's just a few people. It's the pastor, is the main person that can enter and access and all of that. Meanwhile, when Jesus died, he flung the curtain tore from top to bottom, and then we all have access. Yeah. We might not have enough knowledge, but our job as leaders is to take people's hands and say, you two
should go there. You two can go. This is where you want to go? All right. Don't take this step. Take this step. But it's based on the fact that the people themselves want to go. So we have to do that. So leaders are there to give us wisdom. And that wisdom is not cheap. That wisdom, and that's where the honor comes in. Because the wisdom that our leader is offering to us is not cheap. It's not cheap. It's expensive. We don't know the value of it. It's expensive two ways. It's expensive in how the leaders arrived at it. And it's also expensive in the loss that we would get if we don't have that wisdom.
Yeah.
So it's expensive both ways. That's why leadership is critical. In business, in life, you need leaders. Now, again, we've spent a good portion of this conversation trying to get you to stand tall, right? Yeah. And be conscious of what God is doing in your life. And once that is done, then you are able to properly utilize with the right mindset, with the right honor, with the right attitude towards the people that God has placed in your life to help that growth and that direction on that destination that you're going. So leaders are not to be taken lightly. Like to access wisdom, the prerequisite to access wisdom is humility. Yeah. Because so there's wisdom, there's knowledge, right? You've got knowledge, but someone else has wisdom. Now your knowledge will block you from seeing the wisdom that the person has. You have wisdom, you have knowledge, you get. So humility is that thing that helps you cross the bridge to say, see, this is the way I like my mentees or projects approaching me. I want to do this. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think?
Me too. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't
just come.
I don't know. Like, why won't you know? You have a responsibility to know. It doesn't make me a superstar that you don't know, and then I tell you everything. Yeah. But I think I've found you say this all the time. I found myself counseling someone, and I'll start going A. And then as I keep going, and I'm turning B, I'm at C. I'm like, oh, man, I can't even believe, man, this is the answer. Because we're actually working it out as we're speaking. So it's not like I have that residue, all-knowing bank, and I have all the experience in the world. No, right? Many times Pastor T, for example, Pastor T, this and this and this and this are the things I want to do. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. Epa? Yeah. Epa, this is the next level. This and this. I have periodic check-ins where I'm like, okay, and Fumi in Jos, she'll call me, and it's usually a 2-hour conversation. And in that 2 hours, I have to tell her the situation of my relationship with my wife, my kids, my church, or my life in church and as a leader, my business. I have to go through every single detail, saying this. Okay. They're like, have you considered this? Yeah. Have you thought about this? I've thought about this. So you must have agency. To be an effective follower, you must have agency. I can't overemphasize that. So, but then you are humble enough to allow for wisdom, right? You are humble enough, So, and probably I will end with this. So, John is writing, and John says, "This is John. This is of all the apostles, it's like the baddest of the baddest. Trust me."
John the beloved.
John the beloved is like the baddest of the baddest. Like John will be saying something is so simple but yet so deep. Yeah. Right. He's like, historically they threw him inside hot. Some of the story I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
but you've seen a lot of creative miracles now, even now.
No, not that it can't happen.
Yeah, but
No, it can't happen. But we like, we like the metrics. We like action film.
Oh my God.
So we used to help the biblical characters with action film. John Knox said. You'll be shocked. I don't know. But hey. Where I don't like it is when we then create this impossible standard for God's people to get to. Calm down. Mm-hmm. Like some of the things we're doing today, when you read it in books, if I write your story in a book.
Very true. Wow.
When you're reading a book, you're just reading the book alone. It's you that that God did this miracle, but then you still had this problem afterwards. In the book, it's only the miracle you were right.
So just from what you're saying, we must have an ability to appreciate giftings and other things that people can give to us. Yeah. But we must also appreciate ourselves and appreciate our journey. So you must hold those two. The
only way we can appropriately even utilize the giftings is that appreciation.
Wow. So don't come beggarly, even to God.
Yeah.
You don't come beggarly.
I found out that boldness is boldness and courage.
You're saying that
it used to pain me. Boldness and courage. Boldness and courage. God loves bold people.
Yeah.
And I realized that leaders love bold people. Mm-hmm. I like people that ask me good questions.
Yeah. Straight up.
Good questions. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
How does this work?
Yeah.
Right? So leaders love bold people. And leaders who don't like bold people are tyrants. They're not leaders, they are tyrants. If you don't like bold people as a leader, you're just a tyrant.
True.
You're an insecure leader. And that's another thing. Like, any leader that you have to lose yourself in front is not a leader.
Or you have to lower yourself.
You have to
not submit to in that sense. But I mean your own self-worth.
You should
you get
be
what I'm
happy.
saying. Yeah.
If when you're in front of your leader, you should be happy. I'm not lying. So
you have liberty. Because in front of your savior, your Lord and personal savior, you have liberty.
Leaders are for your uplifting.
Yeah.
If I get to a place where they want to pull me up,
it's with joy and gladness.
I'm happy as I am humbled.
Yeah.
Right?
You must hold.
I'm happy as I am humbled. Right? I'm excited.
Yeah.
And leaders like excited people.
Yeah.
Right? The woman lost her child and said, "What's going on? All is well. All is well. All is well." Because you're not my leader, so don't ask me that question. It's not like all is well. I said, I told you I know how to have a child. Though. You ain't the one that said, I was sitting jejely on my own. You came and said, I said, the man went into action. Leaders like people who believe, and any leader that makes you feel small because you believe, right? And many times I'm saying this boldly, and like it's the fact. Any leader that makes you feel like you always come as if you know too much, you always like when you're in front of. Again, and some of these things that, especially in church, the way we've designed them, they are just terrible cultural nuances that we've put as
cultural. Because many places that you go,
when you see Bill Johnson and they ask who is spiritual father, you will not even know.
You carry it on head like this, like
our own. I mean, people in office. Why do you want to carry my bag? Why? Why do you feel like
and it's cultural. It's absolutely cultural.
And the funny thing is, I am not Yoruba as much as my name calls. I mean, I went to school. I went to all those things. There's no way and that's the tension we're having because we're trying to use a cultural template to people that are highly westernized. And now being westernized is not being spiritual. It's not being scriptural. That's not what I'm saying. But that the culture itself is shifting. And that's why many people are offended.
Yeah.
The culture itself is shifting. And if we're turning culture into revelation, that's the problem.
So just stick with the word.
Why can't I
stick with the word? Honor
you without feeling like
you're nothing.
Like I'm nothing.
Yeah.
Why does my honoring you have to be me? Looking terrified.
Yeah.
Why do people feel terrified? Why should people feel terrified? I mean, I have people that work in my office, and probably some of them will say they are terrified. But some I say, see, it's not me. You are just a timid person because you can. And I'll show them. Hey, there are 7 people here. This person can walk into my office and say, this person can. But you always feel like
it's also still cultural, even from the follower to
yes. Now, why
a lot of people can't.
Why are you afraid?
No matter how free the leader is,
yes,
they are just and it's bondage.
Why can't they feel? It's that's the thing now. Why can't a follower say? Why can't a leader say, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I realized that only in my whole life, in my whole life, I've had only one adult say to me, Korede, I'm sorry. In my whole life.
So it's how we all grew up. Your parents never.
They never
when
say
they
sorry.
did something, they never. But I do. To the boys, I do.
You have to, because this was to ask you. For example, I grew up using air for my brother.
Yeah.
No, not even for all my brothers. Because by that time, we had moved. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
We're staying at Ogba. And not modern day Ogba. Like, Ogba was still relatively...
Yeah. So it was
right?
Bodami.
So it was Bodami, Egbomi and all that. Then we moved to Omole. Right? It's more middle class community. We could only sustain that air for the first two.
Yeah, right.
It didn't make sense because Chima... upstairs is like probably my age mate, and he has Chike, who is like Donga's age mate, right? And Chima, he calls him by name. It's strange for all of us are now playing. I say, Egbobola. Even the guy was like, nah, please don't call me Egbobola. You get. Yeah. Of course, does it mean disrespect? But I told you that Agla beats heaven and hell out of me for being disrespectful. Like he bit me. Like it's not even a joke. The guy punched me. There was blood in my eye for being disrespectful. And one day I went to my other brother, who's a year younger than him. I said, "Why is he always beating me? I see you fight him on everything, but you never fight him when he's beating me." And he said to me, "He said because you don't respect him." That's the day. That's the last time Agala beat me. The last time. Even I'm going to disrespect him. I'll disrespect him from a distance. Do you understand? So. We're not talking about being disrespectful or not valuing no, but at the same time, you must not lose your confidence in the name of following anyone. Yeah. Anyone you're following that makes you lose your confidence is no. Jesus didn't make his disciples lose their confidence. Even
God, when he was in referring to us, he says, "Come boldly." Yeah. Come boldly.
Does it mean that, of course, sometimes we take that for granted. I understand that, right? And if you're sensible, you won't take it for granted. If where you're going is really in front of you, you won't take it for granted.
If you really have personal responsibility and leadership, you know that you are going somewhere and that this person has something for you.
So I'm not going to. I'll give you an example. My mentor, who's relocated to Canada, I found out he was in Nigeria, and I was owing him some money. and because he's very practical, if I had the money and I had other things to do, I'll use the money to do that. I'll pay him. I'll do this, but it's my Egbo now. Then he was in Nigeria.
And he didn't tell you.
And he didn't tell me.
Korede was very afraid.
Yeah.
Korede was so afraid. He wanted to share.
But his case in Nigeria, he didn't tell me. Now, Elon Musk might be in Nigeria. What's my business? Anybody can go and bought air pies in Nigeria and he didn't tell me. Nah. So I called his wife in Canada. I said, "Wait till I do your husband." So she was
laughing. She was asking you, "What did you do?"
He said, "What?" I said, "I am owing him money." I said, "That's what I did do." She now called him to say, "How far? Korede is trying to reach you." Because I then called him, he didn't pick. The Korede is trying to reach you. So he then calls me. He was just like, "What's your problem?" He said, "I am." It's a clandestine mission I came to do. I want to finish everything I need to do before. I said, "No, we are meeting tomorrow. I'm taking you out." And he spent the whole day with me.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Oh, Pastor T, I say, because Pastor T is available, and I say, "Papi," I call him. In fact, I call him freely. I'm alive when I'm in front of him or Pastor Ayo. And even for me, it has made me redefine even some other relationships because I cannot lose my voice because I'm trying to follow you. I can't.
But you're also sensible enough to respect
and honor
this gift that you have. Again, because you are very where you are going is in front of
and
you.
I know that
if
probably
you
have something
that is going to affect where you're going.
So, but I would not lose my sense of what.
Yeah.
And I believe that my leaders should actually pour into my sense of what. So your leader should make you. Every time you leave your leader, you should feel taller, not smaller. You shouldn't shrink.
Yeah.
Your leaders are supposed to, blow air into your balloon, right? They're supposed to give courage.
Yeah.
They're supposed to give clarity. They're supposed to give creativity and covering, right? To you in a way where you now feel like, okay, there's more to me.
Yeah.
I have this. They also bring correction, right? Absolutely. When I'm going off, I love correction because it shows love.
Yeah.
Part of the love language of God is correction. Says
he who the Lord loves, he chastises.
Yeah. So correction is part of God's love language, but you won't. Leaders don't put negative identity on their followers. People don't have to be stupid to follow us. They don't have to assume the position of nothingness to follow us. Right? Because we know how this thing flows. It is to the end that we all come. That's the idea. That there is a purpose and there is a goal. All of us are chasing this purpose and this goal, right? And that grand purpose that connects all of us is Christ. And in that, he has individually set tracks for us that will enable us arrive at that grand purpose. So all of us are building small bricks that in the collage, we see him clearly displayed and beautified. So leaders are people that are like they're in step 10 of theirs and you're in step 2 of yours. So they're able to tell you, give you the raw knowledge from their own field that you adapt into your own peculiar field.
That you adapt.
You get. You take it from their own field. You adapt into the peculiarity of your own field so that you can build your portion of that big Lego.
Yeah.
Right? So it says all of us to stand at the judgment seat. There's not going to be a special judgment seat for leaders and for followers. You're going to see Jesus. It's Jesus we're all going to see. We're not going to see, a leader is not going to see a more glorified Jesus than you will. He's going to see the same one, right? And that's the constraint we who are leaders also should always remember, right?
Yeah.
That these things are set in a broader dynamics that Christ is the judge of all.
Yeah.
So, I think we've really gone into some serious stuff. And I think we've said a lot.
Yes.
I'm not going to make this a 2 parts
No.
because I'm already tempted to enter some tough and I don't want to offend. Please don't be offended at anything that I've said.
But I think what you said is simple and
please,
it's
don't
true.
be offended. Please.
No, do not be offended.
Don't be offended, though. I'm just trying my best.
I'm really trying your best.
Please don't be offended. But we love you.
So personal leadership, humility, basically.
Personal leadership, humility. Yeah.
The leaders have wisdom
honor,
to give you, actionable wisdom.
Which is the reason why you honor your leaders, but also that personal leadership tells you how you should be led.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be led in a way where you're put down, your identity is battered.
Yeah.
And even how we should lead, we lead with the understanding that we ourselves are accountable to the Lord as leaders. Beautiful. So I think I've said good things today.
Yeah.
So some of these conversations are tough to have.
Sorry.
But
well done. You're doing the Lord's work to the best of your ability. It's been a blessing. Even personally to me, it's been a blessing. Thank you so much.
I like the way these mics are. Our voices are.
We have gone way past 1 hour.
God bless you.
Please watch on YouTube. Listen on all the listening platforms. Is that what it's
Spotify,
called?
Apple. Spotify, Apple,
Google Podcasts,
YouTube.
Please, follow us on Instagram. Send messages, DMs.
With definitions _pod.
Yes. Thank you so much. Peace
Bye.
out. Bye.